coming at you faster than you can say run, Forrest, run! We have the DC Essentials Flash and Reverse Flash action figures. These guys are part of Wave 1 of the newly released DC Essentials action figure line. The last time, we reviewed Batman and Deathstroke. Today, it's all about the Speedsters. The packaging for these figures is the usual attractive window box with white on solid color, as we've come to expect from DC Collectibles, with an image of each action figure on the side of the package, as well as having a write-up and the images of the other figures you can get on the Wave on the back. And finally, on the top of the package, we have each character's individual logo. Very simple, cool, and attractive packaging for sure. So let's just get these guys out of the packaging quick as a whip, and once we have, this is what we have before us. A very simple looking Barry Allen Flash, and also Professor Earboard Thawne, or otherwise known as the Reverse Flash, or Professor Zoom. Both of these action figures have been sculpted to look like Jason Fabok's artwork, and I think they both do a fine job of looking like his renditions of each of the characters. Taking a closer look starting at Flash, we're just going to start right at the feet and move all the way up his body. There's not a whole lot there as far as new sculpting details. Actually, there's pretty much none, aside from the wings on the side of his head and the face sculpt itself. The rest of the body is just a simple, basic, naked buck that's been painted to look like the Flash. That works though because the Flash wears a skin-tight suit, and there really isn't much that you'd want to add to this figure for sculpting detail. Although they probably could have done with sculpting on his belt and the wrist lightning bolts, I'm okay with the fact that they're tight to his suit, and they're painted on pretty nice and crisp. And the same thing goes for the lightning bolt on his chest. It's done really crisply and nicely. I like the tone of red they've chose to paint Flash in. I think it stands out quite nicely. It's nice and bright. There's definitely some areas where there are some nicks in the paint. And again, DC Collectibles really has to up their game as far as quality control goes. Also, like Batman, Flash's fingernails are actually sculpted on too, and that's sort of strange considering he's wearing gloves. Looking up closer at the face, I really like the head sculpt. I like the cheeky look that Barry has on his face, and I think that it suits the action figure well. Yes, there's definitely a little bit of paint slops on his face, which seems to be a thing that we're dealing with this DC Essentials line as part of the norm, but other than that, I think that the figure looks pretty darn good from head to toe. And now looking at Reverse Flash, he's pretty much the same as the Flash from toe to head. No new sculpting details really, except for his head sculpt. One place where Barry and Eobard actually differ though, is that Eobard's wrists and waist lightning bolts are actually not as crisp as Barry's were. I mean, Barry's weren't perfect, but Eobard's are downright sloppy. However, where this figure really shines is in the head sculpt. I really like Eobard's head sculpt. He just looks so angry and evil and vindictive. It suits him well. Now when it comes to articulation, they're going to be exactly the same as Batman and Deathstroke, with their heads both being on ball joints so they can do ball jointy kind of things, as well as also being on a neck hinge so they can look up and they can look down, which is an improvement. Their shoulders are on hinge swivels so they can go out and round and round and round. They've got bicep swivels. They've got double jointed elbows. They've got peg hinge wrists so they can spin and crunch and move. Both of these figures have ab crunches to crunch down and also to crunch up with an okay range of motion. Their waists are on swivels so they can spin around 360 degrees freely, and their groins are on ball joints, which means they can open up and do the splats, and they've got a pretty good range of forward motion and okay backward motion, although their buns get in the way, which seems to be a bit of a reoccurring theme. Each figure has articulation at the top of the leg, 360, as well as double jointed knees. They've got articulation at the top of the boot to go 360 degrees around, as well as having swivel ball joints for the ankles. That means the peg enables them to go round and round, and the ball joint enables them to go up and down. It's pretty useful. All in all, I'm satisfied with them. I'm really happy to have them in my collection. Nothing I see here is going to make me not want to order Wave 2 of the DC Essentials, that being the Superman, Aquaman, Brainiac, and Black Manta wave. Still very excited about those. Pow, bam, biff! Size comparison. I figured that today I would do things a little bit differently. Usually I traipse out a whole bunch of different figures of the same character and go, this is this version and that's that version, and then you could see that they're different and smaller and bigger and blah 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 blah. But I figured today I would just bring out 3/4 of my Flashes, as you can see here. And I guess I wasted all my time talking about bringing them out rather than talking about them. There they are, size comparison. And then for Reverse Flash, Mr. Eobard, I actually only have the one you're looking at. It's my favorite other Reverse Flash that I own because it's the only other one that I own. I mean, really, I do have another Reverse Flash, but that's the Mezco one, and I'd like to review him alongside the Mezco Flash together in a single video, so I can't crack him out of his prison of cardboard and plastic yet. Sorry. But now we're at the final question, which is, after reviewing all 4 figures from Wave 1, what do I really think of not only these 2, but the entire wave? I think they're pretty good. They're kind of lackluster. They're a little bit disappointing, but they're still something that I'm absolutely going to collect. Why? Well, for one, I love the bright color schemes of each and every character that they've selected. It just makes me feel like a kid again, and for me, that's a huge part of collecting. I like to stay in touch with that same childhood Brad that fell in love with the DC comics. Even though I like good action figure articulation and I like good quality, I'll never become what I consider an action figure snob. That's never gonna be me. I'm not about that life. Even though the quality control can be lacking at times, and it really seems like they cut back on some of the accessories that they perhaps had been planning in the first place, like extra hands, I'm still just as excited to pick up the next wave and every consecutive wave as I was the day these were announced. But that said, these are just my opinions and my thoughts. I'm curious to know what yours are. Leave it down in the comment section below what you think of these figures. If you like this video, please take the time to leave a thumbs up on it, because that's going to let me know hopefully I'm doing something right. And then finally, if you think you'd like to become a super friend and join the DC squad, just hit the subscribe button. Remember to ding the bell so that hopefully you never miss a video, and then I'll just see you in the next one. Have an awesome day, super friends. Take care.